collaboration within Zindi and the community. So we wanted you guys to learn about the art of writing. And if you haven't yet interacted with Zindi, you can go to the Zindi platform at zindi.africa and get to see what Zindi is all about. As a data scientist, work with data. So we have data that's African-centered on the Zindi platform, and you can create a profile. The importance of creating this profile is to enable recruiters, and even Jennifer will emphasize on that, to be able to get data of what you as an individual persist of. So if you're good at NLP, you're good at computer vision, these are some things that they will be looking at so that they see if their JD matches with you, and they can even call you in for interviews. So yeah, without even saying much, I think I will let Jennifer join in and share with us what she has in store, and also give us an intro to herself and what this session is going to entail. So Jennifer, to you.
Okay, so first and foremost, welcome everyone to this session. My name is Jennifer Oyelade. I am a talent acquisitions director, works with experience working in both Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So my career experience, we're talking about maybe 17 years of recruiting talent in various spaces at various levels, from entry level to senior executive. So I've been in the data space for quite a while and understanding the market. And this session really just wants to walk you through as a continuation of the last session. And I will do a brief recap just so that we're all up to speed on the art of CV writing. So how do we make your CV presentable to grab the attention of the hiring manager, the kind of layout that it should have? So in this session, I took back the feedback from the last session, and I'm going to show you what an actual CV looks like. And also I'm going to pick a few CVs that were sent into us that I will critique live on this session, so you can get an idea and understanding of what a CV looks like or how it should be written using the methodology that I taught called the Wheat Mythology. So I will go over that briefly and then also walk you through how a CV should look like. So let's get started. I would like a few people to just, before we get started actually, I would like a few people to just to kind of break the ice, tell me where you're from and what you really hope to get out of the session. So can I ask, I'm going to pick at random, Anas Ali. Anas Ali, are you with us? Okay, maybe can't hear me. What about Mercy Cherotich? Okay, Ali can't unmute. What about Mercy? Maybe she can't hear me. Or Natasha. Oh, need permission to unmute. Okay.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. I think it's on the control side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's start again. So Ali, so Anas Ali, would you be able to unmute?
Yes, I can.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you.
Hi, Ali. Hi, Anas. How are you?
Hi, Jenny. I'm fine, thank you. I hope you are doing good.
I am.
Yes,
So
thank you for the first session. First of all, it was very beneficiary.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. So I'm Sudanese. I'm joining from Saudi Arabia, and I have a background of computer science, and I'm transitioning to data science. So out of these sessions, I hope that I can tailor my CV to get me the positions that I aspire to.
Okay, great. So definitely I'm going to walk through how to even use transferable skills. So that will probably be very interesting for you. So I'll definitely talk about how to make that transition from other sectors into data science.
Great, thank you.
Good. Thank you, Ali. Can I also hear from Joseph? don't know, Joseph, you can hear me? I'm not sure if Joseph can hear me. Okay. Oh, or can we hear from Solomon?
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Solomon. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. What about you?
I am good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm joining from Nairobi, Kenya.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And what would you hope to get out of this session?
Yeah, I hope to learn how to build a good CV and how I can attract the attention of an employer when it comes to applying for a job.
Okay, perfect. So definitely we're going to go through that as well, incorporating some of the things from the last session and just also talking about an attractive layout that can make your experience nice and clear for the employer to read.
Yeah, thank you. Even the last session was very great. I really appreciate for that.
Oh, glad. I'm really great. I'm really, really happy that you enjoyed it. So I'll definitely get into it today.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome. Thanks, Solomon. So let's get started. I know a lot of you are probably keen to get started. So let me get started. So based on the last session, we did cover a lot of things in terms of your CV. And what your CV should actually tell is a story about yourself as a professional. You should look at your CV as a professional autobiography. So basically like a storytelling. Once upon a time, there was a data scientist looking for career opportunities. So you want to let the employer know about you, what your aspirations are if you're looking to get into the data science world. And if you're currently in the data science world, how did you get there? What experiences have you learned along the way? Could it be through employment, through hackathons, through volunteering? Whatever the case may be, all your experience needs to be put on your CV. So a hiring manager can get to know a lot about you on paper before they invite you to an interview. So what your aim and objective of a CV is that by the time a hiring manager finishes reading, they should have an understanding of you as a professional, understand how you took the decisions you made. So why did you study computer science? What did you do after studying computer science? Or if your degree is not even computer science related or IT related, what other professional development courses have you taken to show your interest in a particular subject? So while we're going to go into that, I'm going to speak through the professional format before I actually show you what it looks like. So the first thing at the top of the page should be your profile. Now, this usually comes under your name, your contact details, which should be found at the top of your CV. So no employer wants to scroll down to find out, oh, who has the CV or how can I get in contact with this person? All of your contact details should be at the top. And then after your contact, and in terms of contact details, I will suggest you just keep it to your name, surname, email address, telephone number, LinkedIn profile. I will suggest leaving things off like date of birth, even if, unless on nationality even, only if an employer specifically asks for that information, because we need to ensure that employers need to understand that they need to be an equal opportunity employer. So we want to reduce any form of bias or any form of, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, bias, any some form of bias, shall I say, so that an employer would judge you purely on your technical skills alone. So just put in the key information. So as I said, your name, your telephone number, your email address, and your LinkedIn profile. So that's for the contact details. So the profile. So a profile is just an overview of you as a professional. So it's not a place where you say, oh, my name is Jennifer, I'm an enthusiastic, I'm enthusiastic, I'm hardworking. No profile should be written like that, because let's be honest, guys, we are not enthusiastic every day. I mean, if you see me on a Monday morning, believe you me, I'm not enthusiastic on a Monday morning, and in terms of hardworking can be relative. You can still work smart and still work hard. So we have to be very, very careful about the words we use so that it doesn't sound so much as a cliche. Everybody says they're enthusiastic. Everybody says they're hardworking, but that does not tell me about you as a professional. As a data scientist or in a data space, we need to be using words that reflect the kind of attributes that are needed in the role. So I am an analytical thinker. I am diligent. I am, I have a very structured thought process. So use descriptive words that are required of a data professional to describe yourself. I'm very strategic. I'm very diligent. Those are the kind of words you're using, because that is what represents you as a professional. Hardworking, enthusiastic are very vague, and they're not very true words to our actual expertise. They just describe us, but that's not what they're looking for. They want to know, how do you think? What are your expertise? And this should be summarized in a profile. Then we move on to education. So education should come immediately after the profile. Now, why we do this is, again, it's the same thing. We're telling a story. Once upon a time, I've summarized myself in a profile. My name is Jennifer. I'm an analytical strategic data scientist. Moving forward, I'm looking for a role that I'm going to bring my expertise, or where I could learn and grow and be an asset to a company. Those are kind of your overview, the overview feel that your profile should have. Then onto that, we're now telling the beginning of the story, the once upon a time, and that starts with the education. So this is what I studied. Whether it's a computer science degree or a statistical degree, or if it's computer related, then great. If it's not, then also put the courses that you studied. If you've just done the degree and you're even doing professional development courses but you haven't finished yet, also put that on your CV. So you can put in view. So for example, if you're doing a Python class and you say Python certification and you haven't finished yet, in brackets you can write in view, because it's letting the employer know that though you haven't finished yet, you are in the process of doing it, which shows that the employer that you are committed to continuing development. The same with a master's degree, the same with a degree, anything that you are currently studying, and even though you haven't finished it, still put it on your CV and write in view. But also at the same time, when you've completed it, you need to remember to update your CV to say that you have actually completed it. Because a lot of times I've come across candidates who have put maybe a master's degree in view, or a IBM data analytical certification in view, and they finished it and they haven't updated their CV, and maybe the job you've applied for has required that you are certified in a certain area. Now, if you haven't written that on your CV, automatically you're shooting yourself in the foot and you're excluding yourself for a job opportunity that could be exactly right for you, but you just haven't been detailed about your education and your experience. So even again, to recap, even if your degree is not data related, also put in professional development courses that you can do. Now, these courses, you can find them on Coursera. If you can find free ones, or Coursera, you can, you can find a lot of, put your hackathons, actually, no, I'll get into hackathons in a second. But with the education, just any courses that you're currently studying but haven't completed, make sure you put them on your CV. Now, the next section after your education should be professional certifications, projects worked on, and career achievements to date. So I just spoke about certification. So even though you have your education, should really focus on your institutional experience. So your secondary school, university, masters. That is what should go under education. Now create a separate section for professional certifications, because it shows an employer clearly that, okay, this is their education, this is what they've gone to school to do, and this is their additional development that they've taken out. So this is the certifications that they've done. These are the courses that they've gone on. So courses and certifications should have a section on its own. And also after that, you should have projects you've worked on. So that also includes hackathons. That also includes career achievements you've had to date. So those career achievements should be a summary of probably what you've done in your current employment or previous employment. And also it's just a snapshot. So maybe you've taken one career, one achievement from one job, another career from another job, and you've put them all together like an overview. Now, it does look like you may be duplicating because you will have them in the body of your CV as well. But what we're trying to do is grab the attention of the interviewer. So if I see careers to date and projects I've worked on at the top, that is going to interest me to want to read on further. So it's always important to have, career achievements today. And those career achievements, as I mentioned in the last webinar, that even if they're not things an organization has said is an achievement, as long as they're an achievement for you, then that achievement is valid and it should be put on your CV. So, and those career achievements can be a combination between your own personal achievements, as I've mentioned, or targets that you have managed to beat in terms of your work in the working place. And it could also be anything that you have used to manage your performance. So maybe you've come first in a hackathon, or third, or you've won an award for the most, for the most tasks completed, or anything that shines through as a project you've worked on, an achievement. Create a separate section for it, because employers love to read things like that. They love to read facts and figures, things that speak to your expertise, even before they go into the work experience. If you can capture my attention within the first 3 seconds, as I said initially, then, the more likely I am to read on, get to know you professionally on paper, and invite you for an interview. Then we get to the main part, which is your work experience. So that goes after your education. So as you see, we're building a story here. I've given you an overview of who I am in the profile. I've given you my background, where I started from, which is the education. And now I'm going into my work experience. Now, I noticed that some people, maybe I might be wrong for this group, but what I've seen is that some people put their most recent position at the back rather than at the front. So some people start with where your first job, whereas your first job should be at the back and your most recent job should be at the front. Because even though we're telling a story, an employer from a work experience perspective wants to know what you're doing now, and then work your way back to how exactly you got there. Now, some hiring managers are different. I know of a hiring manager where they will look at the education, they look at the profile, they look at the education, and they go to the back of the CV and start looking from where they started to where they are at now. But then a lot of times, a lot of hiring managers start from what are they currently doing now, which will give me an idea of how they got there. So then I will start working backwards. So the most recent experience should be at the front. It should give me, again, using the Wheat methodology, every job you should have W for what exactly is you do, H for how exactly do you do it. So what systems do you use? What softwares do you use? What processes do you implement? And A, what are the achievements? So E, what are the eventualities? So by doing the task, by using that system, what does it eventually do? So does it increase productivity? Does it reduce risk? Does it increase data processing? Does it reduce data mitigation? So E is the eventuality. What does it, what is the result of what you have done? And then A is the achievement. So by what you have done, by how you have done it, by the actual eventualities, what led to it, what have you achieved, which is A, and T, the time frame. So how often do you achieve these tasks? So that's an overview of what the Wheat methodology is. And in your work experience, that should be detailed for every position. Okay, I've just said this, yeah, the Wheat methodology. So this is just it, even though I've just spoken about it, this is just it in text. So using your CV to write W, what you do, H, how you do it, E, the eventualities, A, the achievements, and T, the time frame. So by using this formula, what it does is, not only does it give you a lengthier and a richer CV, it also shows the employer that you are actually an expert at what you do, whether you're at entry level, whether you're at medium level, whether you're even just trying to get into the data science world, you can actually give your CV more content or more depth by writing a very detailed CV using the Wheat methodology. And what you will find is that the kind of calls from recruiters you will get are different. It won't be, hi, Jennifer, I just wanted to find out, have you worked on this? Have you used this system? Have you used Python before? Are you familiar with SPSS? Or are you familiar with, so you won't be getting those kind of calls. If you write the CV using the Wheat methodology, the kind of calls you'll be getting is, hi, Jennifer, I'm calling from so-and-so bank. I've come across your details and I really like your experience. And I wanted to see if you're interested in a role doing A, B, C, D, and E. Those two calls are very different. So writing the Wheat methodology will get you the latter call. Not using the right methodology will not get you, will get you the other call. But because recruiters are stretched for time, they don't have time to call everybody in their database to ask whether you've used this system or whether you've used that language. What they want to see is every information that they want. They would like to see it on your CV, so it leaves no question on whether you are competent for the role or not. So the more detail in your CV, the better. Recruitment is a very, very expensive exercise to do. Companies spend millions and millions of dollars every year to find the best talent for their organization. And they are going to judge that talent based on what you are putting down on your CV as your expertise, so that they have, without a shadow of a doubt, understanding that this lady or this guy has the potential to do exactly what we need in order for our organization to move forward. It is more cost effective, it's more detrimental, shall I say, to hire somebody wrongly the first time than to hire somebody right the first time. So people spend a lot of money to get it right. So it's important that all your expertise are shown on your CV so that you can get that call that we're looking for. So I touched on this in the last session, but I thought it was very important that I touched on it again, because I'm talking about the Wheat methodology and how you need to write your CV. So using words, the words you use is very, very important. There's a psychology behind the words you use when you're writing a CV that gets the hiring manager to think really deeply about where you fit in terms of hierarchy, in terms of expertise. Can she manage a team? Can she supervise? Not only can she supervise, but is she somebody who can implement? So look, using various words shows at what level you are at in your career and what you're able to do. So for example, leading a team of 4 data scientists, we are in charge of implementing A, B, C, D, and E, or developing Python scripts for data visualization tasks equals A, B, and C. So the way you, no matter at whatever level you are in your career, you are able to use these words to describe exactly what it is you do. As a data scientist, as a data professional, you all create stuff. Whether you're creating visualization boards or dashboards or scripting, you are all creating, you're all developing. Whether you're developing systems, whether it's data, everything you're doing, you should be able to use these words in one context or another. Again, a few other words, I provide an analysis of, as a data analysis, or as a data analytics professional, you're already analyzing data. So you should be using words like analyze if you're preparing data. So if you do data collection, data management, you are preparing data for whatever task it is you're going to do. Providing, you always have to provide reports or provide feedback, or you're always providing something. Using the words like reduced. So maybe you reduced the time frame of doing a particular task, or you reduced the customer churn in a particular project. So a lot of these words you can actually use very comfortably in your CV so that the employer knows that you know exactly what you're doing. You're not doing copy and paste. These are things that you actually do, and you're describing it in the best way possible. Now, in terms of hobbies and volunteering, by all means, mention these in your CV, but be very, very careful about how you talk about hobbies. So for example, if you're somebody who's very sociable, and you hang out with friends and maybe like going to parties or bars, I would ideally say you should remove that kind of hobbies from your CV, because as I said, a CV tells a lot about you. And while I'm not saying that you shouldn't express yourself, but you need to also put yourself in an employer's perspective. So if I'm somebody who, if I say, oh, I enjoy partying, in my mind, I'm thinking, if this person enjoys partying, maybe on a Sunday night, they've gone to a party, how do I know that Monday morning they're going to be efficient? So again, just be kind of very wary of how you word your hobbies, because as I said, we're trying to create a professional opinion about you. We're trying to create a professional overview. So keep your hobbies to something that does reflect you as a person, but still stays within a professional context. So for example, I enjoy hanging out with my friends, comes across a lot better than I enjoy partying. Or that doesn't mean saying, oh, I like to read means that you're a geek, or I like to play chess means that, no, you just need to stick to hobbies that reflect you as a person, shows an insight into your creativity, but at the same time remains within a professional context. And as for volunteering, I think it's very important that if you volunteer anywhere, make sure you also include that experience in your CV, because volunteering is actually experience. Yes, you may not be paid for it, but it actually gives you an insight into the professional world. And it might be that volunteering experience that you've done that an employer takes a keen interest into. And sometimes it even helps break the ice in some interviews. So an employer might say, oh, I saw that you volunteered at, I don't know, for a bake sale, for example, and that person could be really into cakes. So that could be a place where you can find a common ground. Or, oh, I saw you volunteered at this hackathon. Oh, I actually did that hackathon about 2 years ago, and I found it very interesting. So sometimes putting volunteer work can also bring a conversation up in an interview where you can connect with your interviewer. So as I said, no experience is invalid. Always include hobbies and volunteering to also give your CV some flavor and body. Okay, so now I have taken the time to go through some of the CVs that were sent to me. And I said, let me use this set. Okay, no, before I actually go through the CVs that were sent to me, based on what I've been saying so far, I want to give you an example or samples of CVs and how it actually looks like. So let me start with a data engineer CV. I don't know if you can see my screen. Okay, resume share. Okay, right. Okay, so let me make sure that you guys can all see that. Where am I? Okay. Can you guys confirm that you can see my screen? If you can just type in the box in the chat so I can see if you can see my screen. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, Amira, thank you very much, Amira. So let me just maximize this for you guys. So as you can see, the profile at the top. So I didn't put any contact details at the top because obviously for data protection reasons, I didn't want to put the person's details at the top, but it's usually at the top at that space just underneath the logo. Oh, you can't see.
Yes. Jennifer, we can only see the slide deck for the live demo session. Maybe you can share your screen with the CV.
Okay, let me try that again. Okay. Okay, so let me try that again. Sorry, guys, I thought you could see. Okay, share screen. Okay, I get you. Right, can everybody see that?
Right, yeah, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Yes, thank you very much. Great. So, as you can see, I've taken out the contact details will usually be at the top. At the top of the CV, centralized in the middle. So that's your name, as I mentioned, your name, your phone number, email address, LinkedIn, that should be at the top. Then you have the profile as I discussed. As you can see, I've just done a summary of what I am, my specialty, so I'm a data engineer, the sectors in which I've worked in. And as I mentioned in the last session, you need to also include the sectors you've worked in, because data is it can fit into every single sector you can think of, from finance to healthcare, to manufacturing, to hospitality, name it, data is visible in every sector. So in order to ensure that you stand out, you also need to talk about the sectors in which you've had experience working in, because that would also very much help you in terms of speaking to employers, because the employer will then say, okay, this is a data professional who's had experience working in my sector, or this is a data professional who has worked in multiple sectors, so they have some form of business intelligence experience to add to their data experience. So though it's great to use, Power BI and business intelligence software, but what you actually know about an industry also helps decision-making when it comes to clients and their recruitment. So as I said, I've said, experienced data engineer, demonstrating history working in the financial services. I'm skilled in big data analysis, warehousing management, magneto. So I've just given a very much of an overview of what I am, who I am, sorry, the sectors I've worked in, and an overview of the skills I have, right? Then I've created an area called area of expertise. Now, this is just, I wouldn't call it buzzwords per se, but this is just giving the employer the areas in which I am familiar with, because a lot of the data requirements, there's specific softwares or specific requirements that they have. And sometimes they don't have the patience to go through the CV to pick out words like Python, or pick out words like RStudio, or pick out words like, regression. They don't have time to pick out words throughout the body of the CV. So having a section called area of expertise actually brings all of that information into one place. Then, as I mentioned, you've got education, which is just a degree in the CV. And then underneath, I've also put their certifications. As I mentioned, I separated your education from your professional certifications. So looking at this, I can see, right, this person is a certified cloud engineer, this person is a certified data science professional. Then if you go through to work experience now, so here it is, develops a high-level strategy covering data governance, data management, business intelligence. You know, so if you look at the beginning, there's words like developed, there's words like created, implemented, built, optimized, integrated, developed, built, extended, created, scripted. You see, this is all descriptive words that show your expertise and shows exactly what it is you do and how you do them. Okay, so again, we're seeing the same words: created, designed, built, extended, incorporated. So these are the kind of words that show not only what you do, but the level at which you do it at. And as you can see, in terms of the layout, I'll scroll back up. As you can see, I've put it to the left and I've got the role, the company, the duration. So it's very clear, okay, he's worked as a data engineer for FSDH and he worked there from December to present. So it's very clear about your job title, company, and the duration. So that's the work experience. Again, you know, look at the sentencing. Built several ETL pipelines to ingest data from various source databases to replica in the warehouse using scriptive languages, including Python, SQL. So can you see, they've used the Wheat methodology. What they've done is they've built several ETL pipelines, and the scripting languages they used, you know, so what you'll find is in the sentences, you might not do the full Wheat, but you will touch on at least 2 to 3 of them. So with him, he's told you what he did, he's told you how he did it, and what systems he used, right? So what you'll find is it will be a combination of the Wheat methodology. And by using that combination, it will help you expatiate on exactly what it is you do. So interpreted data, analyze results using statistical techniques, and provide ongoing reports. So you see, you can actually elaborate, you can actually make your job role look a lot longer and wider than what it actually is by using descriptive words to show your employer that your role is actually a lot more complex than it looks. So if I see a CV that has 2 or 3 lines, you might be doing all of these things that this CV has, but you just haven't conceptualized it well. So what that hiring manager is going to think is that you're not very experienced or exposed to these areas of development. So I'll scroll down again, same thing, you know, even if you work in departments, so data analyst, is it for sales, ops, and logistics? So here they've actually put not just the role, but where that role sits within a department. So if you're a data analyst for the finance department or for logistics department, or using departments also gives an employer an idea of your business intelligence and where your role sits within an organization. So, and that could be a deciding factor into whether they're going to call you for an interview. So if I'm a logistics company and I see that you worked as a data analyst within a logistics department or environment, I'm more likely to call you for a job than someone who just said they're a data analyst and they have exactly the same experience as me. What would differentiate you from that person is the fact that I know what sector you've worked in. So I'm more likely to call you because your experience and your exposure is more in line to what I'm doing as a professional. Yeah, so this is just one sample for a data engineer. So I'm going to do another sample for a, let me check actually, for a data scientist, I believe. A machine learning, sorry, machine learning. Please let me know if you can still see my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can still see it? Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is for, again, a machine learning engineer. So you can actually put your job title underneath your name if you like. So after you've put your name, you can actually put your job title even before you put your telephone number, email address, and LinkedIn profile. Now, while I keep on saying LinkedIn profile, is because, again, it's a clickable link that can take you straight to your LinkedIn, where that should be updated as well. You can also put your Zindy profile on your CV as well, that depending on the technicalities of whether someone can access it from an outside perspective. So I'm not 100% sure how that works, but at least with your LinkedIn profile, you can actually click on it and it can directly take you to your online version of your CV. But with the machine, so with this machine learning CV, again, it says, I'm a sophisticated machine learning engineer with a background in independent research using intuitive web-based architecture. So it talks about, I'm a machine learning engineer, I use various learning techniques, I approach problems with an analytical perspective, I deploy applications yielding insights to expand customer consciousness. So in this summary, I've told you a summary of what I do, what my background is overall, and why I do what I do. So now, again, area of expertise. We've just broken it down into, the areas in which you cover, so that on first glance of your CV, I can tell where your specialities are. So I can see that, okay, right, that person has done a bit of data mining, they have experience in artificial intelligence, they've done data extraction analysis. So looking at this from an overview, I get exactly what you've been exposed to, which makes my decision process a lot easier than trying to comb through a CV looking for specific words of interest. Now, what is also very key is the word I put here called stakeholder management. Now, stakeholder management is something that every single one of you does. You engage with other people, whether it's your managers or whether it's your lecturers. All of these people are stakeholders. They're a stakeholder in your education. They're a stakeholder in your work. They're a stakeholder. So using words like stakeholder management really says that you liaise with other people in terms of the work that you do. So it's very important to put stakeholder management, because it means that you're able to work within teams, you're able to present your work to people at different management levels or entry levels. It just gives a very much a holistic view of your relationship management skills. Now, now we're looking at education. So in terms of education, so again, they've got a certificate in applied science and machine learning, and then obviously their university in Nairobi, and then we've gone straight into work experience. So again, if you notice, and this is not on purpose, but if you notice, these are two separate candidates in two different regions that you can see. I've pulled a candidate from Nigeria, I've pulled a candidate from Kenya. So they don't know each other, they have no understanding of each other. But if you look at the CV, you'll see the similarities using the same words: created, implemented, conduct, transform, built, design, collaborated. So like this, the second to the last bullet point, collaborated with developers and performance engineers to enhance supportability and identify performance bottlenecks. So that's the Wheat methodology right there. So what did they do? They collaborated with developers. And why did they do it? To enhance supportability and identify performance bottlenecks. Yeah, so if you look at it, it's research, design, implemented. So that all of the words that are being used are very much descriptive words. It describes what you do. To research, you have to be very analytical. To design, you also have to be quite analytical. To collaborate means you have to show great people skills to be able to collaborate and work together and engage. See, using what a prototyped, again, designed, leveraged. So you've used, when you're using artificial intelligence, what are you using it for? When you're using business analysis, what are you using it for? So you have to be very explicit. So in this case, he's leveraged artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms for standalone products and enhanced existing product offerings. So they've told you what they've leveraged on and why they have done so. So the same thing, if we continue to look at the CVs, you'll see the same words again, keeps on coming up: developed, leverage. So being very descriptive is very, very important. So yeah, so again, and now in terms of the layout, if you can see, if I'm using the CV, I can tell you the story. So the story is that this person started off as an intern, as a machine learning intern. Then what they then did is, from being an internship, they decided to work as a machine learning engineer. After they finished working as a machine learning engineer, their experience expanded. And as it expanded, then they now worked in an organization where they were able to expatiate on their knowledge. So as you can see, as the person goes on, they again go up to the top, and now they've actually done some experience with business intelligence and machine learning. So so you can see the journey. They started off as an intern, was exposed to a few projects, then worked on larger projects, and then to the point where they're now developing quarterly roadmaps based on impact, effort, and test coordination. So you can see the story behind this professional. And this is what a CV should do. It should effectively tell you a story. So with that in mind, let me see if I have another example. Okay, yes, I had another. Yes, so this is another data engineer CV. So why I wanted to show you this one is that their area of expertise is a lot more detailed. And this is just to show you that the area of expertise, if you do it in bullet point form, can, especially if you're doing it side by side in a table like this, you can actually give a lot of information away that the employer can use to leverage on. So for example, in this person's expertise, they've added Oracle, they've added their integration analysis services and the systems that they're used to. They've also gone as far as saying that they're well-versed in, Transact SQL. They've also gone to say they use agile methodologies. So if I see somebody who's used agile methodologies, I'm going to say, okay, right, that means that person must have some understanding of project management, data governance framework. So all of these things is just, a snapshot, a one-word snapshot of your level of expertise. So again, education, we've kind of put there the degree, and this is a great CV to use because, as you can see, this particular professional hasn't got a science-based degree, hasn't got a computer engineering degree. Their degree is in plant science. Okay, well, that's science, but what I mean is that it's not computer engineering, it's not software engineering, it's not your typical degree in terms of a data scientist. But what they have done is they have shown that to an employer. They'll say, okay, from a degree perspective or institution perspective, they didn't really go down that route for one reason or another. And as we know, sometimes in Africa, based on the courses, the availability, you might not always get to study what it is you want to study. But however, what shows that person's dedication to their craft is the professional development courses they have done outside of their degree. So in this person's case, they've done, an associate, and they've done a certification, Azure certification in engineering, analytics, in scientists, fundamental courses, enterprise design thinking. So they spent a lot of time in professionally developing themselves outside of their degree, so that the degree becomes, especially if it's not a data science related degree, the degree becomes less relevant and the professional development courses stand out more. So that's the kind of logic behind that, which an employer can see the person's story. Again, in terms of the wording, leading a team. So if I see that somebody's leading a team, automatically my mind tells me that this person is of managerial level, right? They're managing people, they're managing projects, they're leading a team. you know, then you're using words like introduced, data warehousing, and data quality control. So it means that you're innovative. You're innovative enough to introduce something new to the mix to help your work move faster or more efficient. You know, again, it's telling a story. So this is, you know, the person was a senior data analyst currently. Before that, they were a data engineer with business intelligence analyst. And then again, here's a section of achievements that I mentioned. So after you've got your experience, here are your achievements. Your achievements that you designed architecture for pipeline. So this is what you did. It might not be a company achievement, but it's an achievement to this professional. They created ETLs that pulled out data. That could have been an achievement that the company wanted them to do, or it could be a personal achievement. Either way, that should be stated on your CV. Then played a major role in developing a data governance framework. So even if that achievement was not solely your achievement, but even if you worked as part of a team to achieve something, that also should be written in the CV, because your contribution to the team is what made that project successful, or your contribution to a hackathon working alongside another data scientist, your contribution also, you know, was integral to the success of that project. So whether you're working as part of a team, whether you're working individually, an achievement is an achievement and it still should be celebrated. Again, prior to that, they worked as a data operations and procurement officer. So that shows me that they've worked within the logistics space. So if I'm, as I said, if I'm a company or if I'm an employer that, you know, we're looking for a data analyst who has had experience within procurement, I'm definitely going to want to look at this candidate because they have the industry experience that I'm looking for. So having said that, I am going to now go through a few CVs that we received as part of the webinar so I can critique them online so that everyone can get a general view of what we should be looking for in terms of a CV. So yeah, I'm about to do that now. And by all means, guys, if you have any questions, please, I will be more than happy to have a session at the end of this one to answer any questions that you have. So I'm going to share back my CV, sorry, my screen. So here we are. So, okay, I just picked 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just gonna pick 4 CVs. I picked 4 CVs at random, in no particular order. I just, you know, just clicked them and said I will share them. So I'm gonna start off with Natasha's CV, and I think I saw Natasha's name up on the side. So with Natasha's CV, so we have I'm adaptable, detailed, self-driven, professional in analyzing big messy data. Yeah, can you see my screen?
We are stuck on the files, or maybe you can share again.
Okay, let me share it again. Oh, so sorry, guys. Okay, where are we? Okay, right. Let me share it again. Where are we? Okay. Okay, can you see it now, guys? Can everyone see it now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. With Natasha's CV, so she's got, I'm an adaptable, detailed, self-driven data professional in analyzing big messy data to extract insights. So this is, first line is great. So she's telling you that she is, she's detailed, she's self-driven, and she can analyze big messy data that would lead to the best possible solution. So she's telling you that she had experience in extracting data for insights, and she used the word big and messy. So what that says to me is that data doesn't always come in a structured format. Some of it could be, sometimes it's unreadable, it's understandable, it's not been labeled. So what she's telling me in this first line is that I can look at messy data and I can streamline it for you to solve your solution or to solve your problem, shall I say. Then she's gone to say, I've worked in these roles, I've acquired descriptive analysis and social media marketing. Great. So she's talked about social media marketing. So now I'm thinking to myself, okay, if she's done social media marketing and she has experience dealing with messy data, so that means for my social media campaigns or for anything in that line, she'll be able to present reports to me that can tell me where my strengths are, where my weaknesses are. So already, if I had a role within a media firm or somewhere in that line, or an organization that relies on social media, then I would, that would stand out to me. Okay, so she's got so we now look at the employment. So as I mentioned, I probably would say in terms of the layout is to put all of the information to one side. It just makes it a lot clearer and a lot more neater. But what I like, again, is even though the bullet points are not expatiated, but in terms of deliverables, she's kind of gotten straight to the point. So manage event projects for individuals and organizations that successfully implemented an average of 90% of their event objectives. Now, what I would probably like to see, what that looks like to me is more of an achievement rather than what actually is you do. So what I would like to see here is, how did you do that? How did you manage the projects? Did you use a project management system to manage the projects? Or walk me through what project management looks like for the events that you manage. So even as an events company, so maybe you're liaising with vendors, you've drawn a project outline, you've managed budgets, all of those kind of things are what an employer wants to see. So your thought process behind your project management that resulted in this achievement of you achieving 90% of your event objectives. Again, monitor the strategic goals of the company each year, recording an average of 20% in growth. That's fantastic. Again, that's more of an achievement. But if I wanted to talk about that in a more of a descriptive way, how did you monitor your growth? So did you use Excel? Was there particular systems? What were you, and again, how were you comparing your growth? So for example, I would say maybe using Excel to manage current revenue generation and forecast against last year, or for you to be able to see or know how you manage to increase your revenue on a year-to-year basis. Again, manage professional relationships with suppliers and employers. So that's great. So it shows your client relationship management skills. But what I would also do is put the kind of relationships that you have built, or the kind of employers that you're working with. So that shows, again, the employer, the scope, the level of your exposure or your industry relationship. So are you liaising with banks, corporate firms, public sector, private sector, what industry, what size? It just gives me a more of an insight of the kind of relationships you're building and managing. Then Barclays Bank of Kenya, great. So performance analyst. So significantly improved productivity of the operation team by extracting insights. That's perfect. You've done what you said, you've significantly improved productivity. And then you've told me how you've done it by extracting insights from collected data. Perfect. Recommended laser-focused training needs that were more relevant to the various teams to improve their performance. Okay, so that one is also quite good. It would probably be a bit more beneficial if we said what exactly were the training needs, or just basically unpack that bullet point a bit more. And that also sounds like an achievement as well. And reduce the error rate of backlogs and errors by approximately 10% by providing best alternative. That again is a great achievement because you've reduced error, which means that you've either cost saved or time saved. So that is also a good achievement. So I think with here, I think you need to break it down a lot between what you actually do on a day-to-day to achieve the results that you have done and separate your achievements from your day-to-day responsibilities. And again, of course, we only talked about layout today, so obviously I can't critique about layout because we only talked about it today. But again, it's just a case of these technical skills, I would put them at the top as area of expertise. Again, you're volunteering, so Organization of Women in International Trade. That's a fantastic volunteering experience. I think what you would have done here that would be nice is if you could unbox it a bit. So tell me exactly what was your role, even though you're an effective spokesperson. So maybe talk about the research you did in order to be the spokesperson, maybe what the topics were, or what you're at. I mean, you're a board member, vice president. That's a very good volunteer experience. So just talk about what your role actually entails a bit more. I think that will be an additional selling skill for your CV. Okay, so that is Natasha, sorry. Let me move on to another CV. So, sorry, I noticed that my screen has stopped again. Let me just bring up another CV first. Apologies, everyone. Okay. I am going to, so here we are, I'm about to share my screen again. So I have got Anas Ali's CV, and I believe Anas Ali is on the call because we spoke briefly in the beginning. So I like the skills at the top, and I'm very curious if this is an actual application CV system, because I've come across a lot of CVs that actually look like this. So I'm keen to know if this is an actual CV, if there's an actual like application that aligns CVs like this. So though I've talked about, I won't critique the layout because that's only something I just taught in this session. So what I'm really looking about is the bullet pointing, how it's written, and how it's written, and basically how we can unpack it to make it better. So okay, so I helped the group achieve digital transformation by capturing business. Excellent. So what I would do is, I mean, the bullet point itself is great. So you've told me exactly what you achieve and what you do. What I would do is I wouldn't use the word help because you're providing expertise. So I would use words like support the group or provide insights to the group. Use words like that. Help seems like you're doing them a favor, whereas you're actually providing expertise. So, yeah, so I think the only thing I will say about that bullet point is don't use the word help, use the word support or provide or advise or, something that shows exactly what it is you do. So I participated in building and executing a 5-year roadmap. That's a brilliant point. I would make that a separate bullet point. So participated in building and executing a 5-year roadmap, and it needs more information. 5-year roadmap of what, or to execute what, or to do with what? Because that's a powerful bullet point and it needs to stand on its own. That building and executing a 5-year roadmap shows that you're able to help an organization foresee into the future by building a 5-year roadmap. But what I would love to see is what that roadmap was about and how did you participate? What was your involvement in the building and the executing of that 5-year roadmap? I manage implementation projects, fantastic, by reviewing RFPs and then negotiating vendor. Yep, that's great. This required me to be able to deal with various stakeholders. Perfect. I have nothing wrong with, I can't critique that at all. That was perfectly written. I manage SLAs on contracts. I've been reviewing. Sorry if I'm saying sorry. I'm just reading it. Monitoring delivery, resolving escalations, and so that's it. So that's great as well. So you manage SLAs. You know, you evaluate performance. So the only thing I would add there is, why do you do it? So is it to ensure due diligence? Why do you manage and review contracts and SLAs? To, you know, review to ensure due diligence, transparency, you know, just give a few words as to why you do it. And then I participated in the successful, I believe, again, that should be a bullet point on its own, but and it should be even an achievement. The fact that you've participated in this in the successful technical support, it shows that what you did was successful. You reduced savings for about 49%, and how you did it. So that is an achievement, number one. And number two, that should be a bullet point on its own. I know it seemed like you tried to condense size, space, and I will talk about that again, because I think I saw something pop up about this 2-page CV thing, which I will address very, very shortly. Again, I supported. Exactly. So where you use I supported here, you can do exactly the same for the previous role. I supported the SAP HANA system by handling, so yeah, more functional technical issues. Yeah, that's great. I managed and administered, yeah. Using yeah, I think so. I designed, yeah, this required me to understand. Yeah, so this is great. What also you could also be including in your roles is who you report into and the size of the teams that you're in or that you manage, depending on your level of professionalism. Because what that does to me, it says that, okay, this person is used to working in large teams, so that means they will work well in my organization, or they're used to working in small teams, which is what we're looking for. So it gives people an idea of the kind of environments that you've worked in. So please, guys, do implement that, do write the team size, or who your direct hiring, your direct manager is. So it also gives the employer an idea of the hierarchy where you sit within an organization. So yeah, I think those bullet points were great. Teaching assistant, reinforced lessons, yeah, review material. I tutor calculus for the first year and second year students. Yeah, I will make that a separate bullet point, and I will put that bullet point at the top. So these are the people that I tutored, and apart from that, reinforcing lessons that were taught by professors and so on and so forth. So sometimes it can just be the order in which the bullet point goes, because again, that also does tell a story. But overall, yeah, and training experience. So I won't talk about the order, because I'm only just showing you guys the order today. So I'm not really going to go into the order, but you know, again, you know, you've got some great experience. So this is why, especially from an educational background, so that's why this is very ideal for it to be at the top of your CV. You've got an MSc in computer science, you've got a BSc in computer science, you've even done an applied data science platform. These are the kind of things that should be at the top. So I'm already seeing from a professional perspective that, okay, this guy has invested institutionally and professionally from the courses he's taken outside of the degree. You know, and you've got a lot of, certifications on courses, even project management foundation. So you see, something like project management foundation, I would write that in my introduction at the top. So they say, again, you don't have a profile area. So with a profile area, I have, done a course in project management, what allows me to manage projects, manage budgets. So you really need to sell yourself based on the courses you studied, based on your educational exposure, based on your sector exposure. So as I said, guys, your CV is your grounds to, you know, brag about yourself. So for example, with Annis, you've even done courses on business process improvement. All of these things is what I will put in area of expertise. Even though they're courses, I will still put them not just as part of the courses, but as part of my area of expertise. So I would write project management, business process improvement, Google Analytics, machine learning, data intelligence. So even though you've done courses on them, it's at the top. So immediately I look at your CV, I can see your area of expertise, I can see your education, and then I'm going to read on to look at your experience. So that's my overview on Anna's CV. I hope it was helpful. Then I'm going to do, I've got two more. I'm going to do Angel. Can you guys still see my screen? I've got Angel's CV up. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So again, I'm not going to go into the layout, but more into the experience. I mean, yeah, so working to ensure the development and implementation of business growth strategies, product and project management of the company's software development projects. So for me, so to me, this needs to be written in bullet point form. And I think once it's written in bullet point form, what you're saying is more clear and concise to the reader. So for example, if I was to put the CV in bullet point form, the first bullet point will stop after development projects. So working to ensure the development and implementation of business growth strategies, product and project management of the company's software development projects. Full stop, that's bullet point one. Then successfully, I wouldn't even say I would just say successfully managed 2 projects to successful completion. But you see, this bullet point is, first and foremost, it should be an achievement. And secondly, what are the projects that you've managed to successful completion, and what was your role? What role did you play in its successful completion? Then actively participate in the development of business proposals and associated reports, research, data analysis and reporting, presentation of company. So I find that the sentences are a bit too long, and they need to be a bit more concise so that the information you're giving me really jumps out at me. You know, so again, I'm using the descriptive words that I use in the Wheat methodology to contextualize what you said. So I would say successfully manage 2 projects in A, B, C, and D, where I was integral in achieving A, B, and C, and it resulted in the successful completion, something along those lines. Then actively participate in the development of business proposals and reports, research, data and reporting, full stop. Presentation and of company business proposals to clients in various form probably is a separate bullet point altogether. So what I would say about this is making it more in bullet point form so that the information is easily readable. I know, again, what some people may say is that if you make it in bullet point form, then the CV becomes longer, and then we've always been told about a 2-page CV and so on and so forth. But again, I'm going to go into that. But I would say my overall review on this CV is that the sentences need to be a bit more concise and using very descriptive words at the beginning to show your personal involvement and elaborate a bit more on your involvement in the projects or the tasks in which you do. So that's, I would say, is my feedback on that CV. So my final CV would be, sorry guys, I know my screen's went off again. I'm just trying to get up the CV, would be Rachel. I'm about to share my screen again. So where are we, Rachel? Okay, so Rachel's CV. Okay, let me scroll up quickly because I can see there's some contact details there. So with Rachel's CV, you know, fast learning, ambitious individual that is aggressive, self-motivated with excellent statistical and communication skills. So first sentence, great. Proficient in data creation and data management using SQL. Perfect. That's great. Supervised learning in Python and R. So when I say supervised learning, you know, supervised learning is a bit of a gray area, because supervised learning doesn't mean that you've been supervised to learn. That means somebody is teaching you, or you supervise the learning of other people. So when you're using a word like supervise, you've got to be quite distinctive in what way you mean. Clustering using unsupervised learning in R and data visualization. So this supervised and unsupervised, you have to really, you know, you have to really either use words that are more clear and concise what you mean by supervised and unsupervised. Oh, supervised learning is a machine learning term. Oh, okay, sorry, my apologies. Okay, so with that being said, that's fantastic. In terms of, you know, you're saying the systems you use and what you use them for. So sorry, scrap all of that. I totally get it now. So yeah, so that's fine. That's great. Extremely knowledgeable with 4 years in perfect. This is exactly what I'm saying. Perfect. Extremely knowledgeable with 4 years insurance industry experience. Can you see? So now if I'm an insurance company, or I'm in the financial services, or I'm in a sector where her knowledge would be valuable, she is immediately going to catch my eye, because she's told me how many years experience she's had and what industry she has focused on. So immediately she's caught my attention. She's given me her inside knowledge, her sector knowledge in the same breath as she's told me the kind of work she's done, you know, the kind of system she's used. So she's really, I really like that. She's really conceptualized it at the top. Again, in fact, she's even, are you sure you were not watching me, Rachel? Because you've even got the skills part, which is great. I think Rachel's been watching me. I think she's been a fly on the wall in my house or in my office, because again, she's got at the top, she's got the skills, which is great. The only thing I will say with the skills is stick more to your expertise. So yes, goal orientated, good time management. Yeah, that's okay. That's great. But I think what we need to do is focus more on your expertise. So for example, I would put the same kind of wording that you've put at the top. So your Python, your R, your clustering, your data visualization, data engineering, like you've got data management here, fantastic. So stick more to your expertise and the skills, because goal orientated is not a skill, it's an attribute. It's what you are, right? Critical thinking, yeah, that's a skill, I get that. Interpersonal skills, yeah, I get that. But what I mean is stick more to your expertise as more than your actual attributes. Okay, so claims officer was responsible for medical and health processing, as well as compliance function pertaining to health. Okay, so that's great, but with the claims processing, did you use any systems? Was there any data element to your role? So as much as I'm looking through your CV, I'm scanning through, it's okay, apart from your use of Excel, you haven't really implemented where your data skills comes into your claims officer role. So for claims processing, it's very much probably a data-driven exercise. So in this, what I would want to see in this particular role is implementing your data skills into your day-to-day role. So as a claims officer, do you use data processing to process claims? Do you use, I mean, you mentioned Excel. Do you use Excel to data mine or data manage or capture? You know, just injecting more data related terminologies in your CV, I would say, for this particular role. I mean, in terms of the way you've written the bullet points, they're great. They're very much, you know, Wheat Mythology material. But I feel like you just need to inject a lot more data methodologies in the body of your CV so that an employer can see how you use data to do your job. Again, same with the finance analyst, using more data related terminology to just, apart from Excel, to justify you know, your role in the data space. So for example, you know, for African sorry guys, for Africa Banking Corporation, you mentioned you collected data and developed detailed spreadsheets, but I'm sure you can, from a, you know, data collector, you know, you can talk about data mining, data, whatever it is, to analyze and identify trends. You know, there's a way you can unpack that to have more of a data science, data analytical feel. And I think that just needs to come out a bit more in the body of your CV. Again, I mean, I'm not going to critique the order in which it came in because we just talked about it now. But again, you know, your certificate in data science, insurance shows that you have an industry experience certificate, your degree in actual science. So yeah, in terms of your education side of things is great as well. You just need to, again, put it at the top of your CV so that it's you know, so that it's all in sync. And you've got your volunteer experience. Yeah, all of that is great. So I would say on overview, I would say on overview, it's just to inject more data science related methodologies to unpack exactly what it is you do in your day-to-day work. So yeah, I would say that's the last CV. But what I would advise is you guys continue to work on your CVs. We will do a session like this again, where I will then pick up more CVs to review, to critique, carry on updating your Zindi profile using the same methodology, because as Rose mentioned, when we are looking for roles for our clients, we come to the Zindi profile. Look at whose profile is completed, whose you know, whose CVs have been upgraded, and those are the CVs that we will use to submit to our clients to see if we can get you that dream job. But we need to have the CVs and the profiles updated so that we can do that successfully. So I will be very much frequently looking at Zindi profiles from the back end, trying to see who we can, you know, engage with to place in various jobs. At the moment, we have current roles that we're recruiting for, and it will be good to see a lot more profiles and CVs written the right way, so we on the Zindi platform can help you, you know, land that job. So that's the kind of end of my presentation. And again, I'm going to be very open to questions, comments. Please, by all means, use this time to basically ask me anything you want, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you.
Hi. Okay, thank you so much, Jennifer. I think we already have some questions on the chat. That was an amazing presentation, and I hope everyone has been able to grasp a few things and also done some noting down. I sure have. So thank you so much. So we can jump into the questions. So the first question was asked by Blessing. I have had in previous workshops everywhere that our CVs should be maximum of 1 page. How reliable is that?
It's very unreliable. So I think I gave this example in the last session, but Blessing, I'm going to ask you this question, and I would love if you could unmute, because I want you to take part in this example I'm about to give. So Blessing, are you there? Is she still here? I'm not sure.
Blessing? Yeah, she's still around.
Okay, Blessing, if you could unmute for us, please.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Blessing, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, Blessing. So I wanted to, what you've asked is a good question, and I want to put a scenario to you, and I would like your very, very honest feedback. I probably gave this example in the last session, so apologies to anybody who's heard this scenario before, but I think it's really good for me to reiterate it again. So Blessing, imagine, right, that you are the next Elon Musk. You have a $1 trillion organization, and you are sitting in your beautiful corner office looking over the beautiful skies, and your first job as the CEO of a $1 trillion organization is to hire a finance manager. Now, this finance manager is going to look after all of your money. He's going to look after your profits. He's going to mitigate your loss. He's going to put so many implementations to make sure that your money is safe and you're making more money. Now, if I now walked into your office with a 2-page CV applying for this finance manager role, or shall I say, in your case, a 1-page CV applying for a financial management role to look after $3 trillion, billion, or whatever dollars, would you give me the job?
Definitely not.
Exactly. Why wouldn't you not give me the job?
Because I won't be so convinced that you are capable of handling that amount.
Exactly. So have that same methodology that if you're looking for a job and you want a certain amount of money as a remuneration, and you put a 1-page CV in front of that employer, why should they pay you what you're looking for? If I can't see your experience, I can't see your exposure, I can't see the systems you've used, I can't see the experience you've had, I can't see the teams you've worked in, I can't see your achievements, there's no way you're going to be able to give me all of that information on 1 page. It's not humanly possible. Now, what I find that a lot of hiring managers like to say, oh yeah, I just want a 2-page CV, I just want a 1-page CV. Let me tell you that the people that they end up hiring, their CVs are like 3 or 4 pages, because that person has taken the time out to expatiate on exactly what I've been saying in terms of your experience, your exposure, your achievements, your roles, what you do, how you do it. They've done that. So telling everybody else to send in a 2-page CV is just doing the work for them, because they can't be bothered to go through 75 billion applications of 4-page CVs. So if they tell you 2 pages, it's almost like they're cutting down their attrition rate, if you get what I mean. Hi, Blessing.
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So by all means, please don't be deterred by workshops or anyone that tells you to do a 2-page CV. Even if you are an entry-level candidate still in university or 1 to 3 years experience, you can still have a decent, solid 2 to 3 page CV if you write your CV using the Wheat methodology. And from my experience in over the last decade and a half or 16, even entry-level roles that I've recruited for, I have managed to extract at least 2 to 3 pages of a CV, because your volunteer experience is valid, your internships are valid, your first job is valid. And if all those experiences are written in the Wheat methodology, like I explained, believe me, you will have a very solid CV to go with. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Perfect. Thanks, Blessing. Who has the next question?
I can read it out to you.
Thank you.
If we don't have that kind of professional development, that is clearly in these examples, our job nature is very stagnating. How best to put our CVs to be even be considered?
Okay, so if your jobs is stagnating, so if that's where you need to inject some flavor to make it less stagnating. So if your job is something that you do on for example, is a a repetitive job, then you can use descriptive words to make it, no, I wouldn't say sound more than what it is, but what your job role is important. If it wasn't important, they wouldn't have hired you for that role. So it's about using descriptive words to make your CV a lot more attractive. So just like how I said, using specific words matter. So use words like developed, increased, implemented, produced, advised, supported. So using words like that and using the Wheat methodology to unpack that experience can make any job that is stagnating look very, very interesting. I hope I've answered that question.
Yeah, you can input on the chat if that question was answered. Thank you. We have another question from Osman. Yes, should I include publications on my CV, even if from an unrelated field, though I worked on a data-related component of the paper?
Should I? Yeah, of course. Of course, most definitely. Publications, because these are all indications of your contribution to your craft, right? So any publications where you've been featured in, any news articles, create a section called, publication and articles. Now you can put that near the education, you can put that at the bottom. There's no real place for it, but I would say probably near the top, in all honesty. But yeah, in any kind of publications, news articles, journals you've written, magazine articles, all of those kind of things, please by all means include it in your CV. It's just an indication that your craft is bigger than just maybe your 9-to-5 or your volunteer work or your institutional experience. It also shows that you proactively play a part in the development of your expertise. I hope I've answered that one.
Great, thank you. So there's also another question from Solomon. What are your views on CV templates and colors used in a CV?
This is a good one. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan of CV templates, to be quite honest with you, because CV templates not only makes your CV and somebody else's CV look exactly the same. What it does is it doesn't allow you to really expatiate on your experience like I have done, today, because CV templates give you, maybe a word space or it gives you a certain number of words, highlight. It doesn't really speak to your expertise. So yes, fine, maybe if you want to have a few infographics, but what I'm trying to avoid for you guys is making the infographics the most interesting part of your CV. If you write your CV using the Wheat methodology and you have 1 or 2 infographics as well, then that's great. But I'm not a big fan of templates. I think it takes away from your expertise and just makes it look colorful without, achieving your objective, which is to get an interview, which should ultimately lead to a job. Hope I've answered that one.
Okay, thank you so much, Jennifer. Yeah, I like your responses on the questions. There's a question from George. Do ATS systems have a limit on the number of words used for a CV or resume?
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of ATS systems, to be quite honest. Reason being because, I'm a fan of ATS systems from a recruiter's perspective, because it helps me manage CVs better. But from a candidate perspective, you find a lot of people try to beat the ATS by writing things like, I'm a data scientist working on data related problems because I'm data professional with data insights and data. That does not make your CV come to the top of my list, because again, what I'm searching for is not the obvious. I might search for things like SPSS. I might search for things like agile methodologies. I might search for things like Python. I might search for things like Tableau. I might search for things. I might not search for the common things that you would all think I would search for. So in terms of that question, in terms of the wording, every ATS system is different. But what I would do is focus more on the content of your CV rather than the wording, because again, you're not the hiring manager, so it's very hard to determine what exactly it is that they're looking for. So I would say the objective is focus on the content of your CV, and if you have written it well, then the ATS will pick you out based on your skill sets. I hope I've answered that one.
Great. Yeah, that was really nicely answered. Maybe you can confirm that, George. Yeah, so you can see Solomon is saying he has ever seen a CV for a cabinet secretary being 100 pages. So that's nice. That's unique. Yeah, I can see any more questions on the chat. If your question hasn't been answered, maybe you can raise your hand or just unmute and share your question with Jennifer.
I saw a CV for a cabinet secretary of education. It was over 100 pages. Yeah, now, so what I always say, Solomon's a good one to mention. What I always say is that, of course, there's a thin line between having a CV and a dissertation. Now, I'm not saying that your CV should look like a dissertation. However, it has to have enough, and that's why I created the Wheat Mythology. It's something that I created myself. And why I created the Wheat Mythology is to put into perspective the kind of things that need to be put on the CV. So as I said, what exactly do you do? How do you do it? What is the eventualities of what you do? What are your achievements or the results and the time frame? So if you limit it to that, yes, your CV will be detailed, but it will be detailed with the right information. So let me again clarify something. Hiring managers will read a lengthy CV if it is interesting. Now, and this is why I again specify about using words such as developed, managed, implemented, leading, analyzing, all of those words are engaging words. It's going to want to make you read on. But if you just write things like, I entered data into system, I left, I looked at dashboard, I did, I'm going to fall asleep. So, I'm going to move on to the next candidate. So the more engaging it is, the more they're going to read, and the more you're going to get those kind of calls like, hi, Jennifer, I've got a role with so-and-so for a data engineer. I think based on your skill set, you'll be a great asset. Would you mind if I send your details across? You will have more of those kind of calls rather than, have you done this? Have you done that? I haven't seen Python. No, to be honest with you, no recruiter has the time to pick up their phone to ask you whether you've done certain things. They're going to assume that if it's not on your CV, it means that you haven't done it. So I just thought I will just put that through as well. Do I have any more questions? Okay, do we still have a chance to send you our CV or review after we try to improve it? Most definitely. So what I would suggest is we'll definitely do a session like this again. But what I'll suggest you do is, again, it's going to be the same kind of criteria. Update your Zindy profiles. Again, based on the information I've given today, we will still have another review session. So please, guys, still do work on your CVs. This is not the end. We will definitely again, we'll give people a longer period of time this time to use these methodologies, so that the next time we're looking at CVs, we should ensure that the layout is, you guys have got the layouts down and you've got the methodology. So what I'll be looking out for in the next session is not just the way the bullet points are written in terms of the Wheat methodology, I'm also going to be looking at layout. So definitely we will do the session again. Would you help? Would you be able to, so Joe says, would you be able to help out with CVs outside planned sessions? Sure, definitely. I mean, for everyone, you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. I will type my LinkedIn name here. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm a lot more active on LinkedIn than probably any other social media site. So please, by all means, connect with me, send me your feedback, ask me questions that probably didn't come to your mind on the session, because it happens to me all the time. I will sit there, say I have no questions, and then as soon as the session's over, I say, oh yeah, I forgot to ask. So by all means, guys, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to connect with you all. I accept all connections. So please feel free to connect with me, and yeah, we can schedule sessions to work individually as well as on the platform. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah. Any burning question before we wrap up? Even sentiments or comments are welcome if you have learned something. Yeah.
Exactly. Just to echo what Rosa says. So by all means, guys, share your feedback. Let me know if how the session went, if there's anything else I could improve, or even mention topics that you would like to see coming up. So one thing that I did pick up from the last session, which we will definitely factor it in at some point, is how to prepare for interviews. Interview sessions, how to prepare for interviews. So I've made a mental note of that, and when when we get the diary sorted out between us, we'll share with you guys when that session would be. So we've got a few sessions lined up for you guys. So we're determined to make sure that you guys can be the best you can be. You're really exercising your expertise. We want Zindians to be the place to come to when you're looking for data professionals all over Africa. So it's my objective to make sure that you are industry ready. That's what I would say, to make sure that you are industry ready. You're ready with soft skills as well. Yes, thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Wanjiru. What will be the advices for people who are in and out of jobs? So what I would advise is that keep on developing yourself. Again, the good thing is Coursera offers a lot of free courses. So if you're in and out of jobs, I would say keep on professionally developing yourself. Look for internships, places where you can volunteer, participate in hackathons. So at least if you keep yourself proactive in the data space, at least it shows that you haven't stopped working. You might have been stopped getting paid, but you haven't stopped working. So as long as you utilize whether they're professional free platforms or paid platforms or hackathons, just always keep your mind busy and keep yourself developed. That's what I would really say in terms of, if you're in and out of jobs, just keeping yourself industry ready, because you never know when that job may come up. So you need to ensure that you're not lacking the skills they need in order for you to, be a preferred candidate.
To add something to that, we'll be having the Umoja Hack Africa happening in March. So if you haven't registered yet, please ensure that you have, because this will bring in a lot of opportunity. As much as you maybe have had your road to employment cut short in some areas, or you did not have like some skills or some published portfolio on GitHub on how you took part in a competition or something, this will be a platform where you can be able to plug in if you're from a university or a boot camp. So please ensure you sign up. We'll have amazing competitions for you. And, you know, again, after Jennifer has helped us revamp our CVs, and, you know, we have filled in our Zindi profile, we might get even say partners who have signed with us, like the day etc, who might be looking for talent, and you might be one of the people who gets contacted. So again, to iterate of an amazing opportunity that may come from also our events that are happening, and how we are preparing you to revamp your CV for such opportunities. Yeah.
And that's great. Just to also recap on, just to add to what Rose is saying as well, is that one of the sessions that we also have planned coming up, which should have happened, but I wanted to make sure that we are on the right track in terms of our CV, is that I'm also going to do a session on what do employers look for in data science or data professionals. What do employers look for? So that is a session that I'm hoping we may have before the Umoja hackathon, possibly, but we will keep you updated on that, so that as you participate in the Umoja hackathon, you've got your CV ready, you've got your profile, Zindi profiles ready, and you understand the soft skills in which employers are looking for. So hopefully we want to ensure that you get onto that program ready and prepared to engage with opportunities. I saw, do you also look for info required for remote jobs? So yeah, so again, with remote jobs, it also boils down to, again, touching about what employers are looking for in terms of remote jobs. So if you currently, that's a good point to make actually, if you currently work in a remote role, I would really suggest you include that in your CV. So if you're, for example, if you're a data analyst for a company and you're working remotely, write in brackets next to the company that it is remote. So that's another thing I forgot to mention, guys. If you're working remotely in any project, in anything, always include it in your CV, because it means that other companies will know that you are used to working in a remote environment. And just to give you a little info for remote working, is what employers do look for, I'll be very quick in this, is people who can demonstrate their ability to be self-motivated, because you have no hiring manager looking over your shoulder saying, have you done this, have you done that? So it's by, you know, showing key initiative and also your ability to be self-motivated and work autonomously. Any other questions?
Yes, so I don't know if we have any more questions, but if not, again, you can reach out to Jennifer via her LinkedIn. She shared it on the chat. Yeah, you can reach out to her in case you want her to assist you in reviewing the CV and give you some tips and tricks, maybe based on how your CV looks after you have taken the feedback that she's given. Yes, we'll share the recording of the first and the second event together. On the first and second event together, again via the email list that we sent out for this event, so that in case you are not in the database, you can get the recordings again. Yeah.
Okay, so I just realized that the last time I shared my LinkedIn, it was only a direct message. So I've shared it again to everyone in the group. So again, this is my name on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect, and I'll be more than happy to provide advice. You can also, I also share on my LinkedIn some just some random HR information on, you know, how to write a CV, not just write a CV, sorry, information to kind of uplift you. I have a lot of quotes that I put up there as well about, just trying to be a better person and be a better professional. So by all means, connect with me. Our objective on the Zindi platform is to make sure that you're job ready, your career ready, and we're going to assist you on that journey as you progress.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Jennifer, for your input. It was really helpful. And again, we'll continue revamping our CVs, hopefully to continue, even preparing for future opportunities.